I'm Amy Nielsen, editor of SeedWorld US, and I'm here in Kansas City, Missouri at the Western Seed Association and the American Seed Trade Association Turf and Forage Convention. I'm sitting here with the current chair of the ASTA board, Dan Fohr. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and great to meet you in person as well after our interview we did over Zoom not too many months ago.
Yeah, you're on the cover of the October SeedWorld US.
I am.
And very recognizable, I'm sure,
Thank you.
walking around here.
Yeah.
But you've recently had a job change, right?
I did, yeah. I'm actually in my 4th week into a new role with a company called Remington Seeds, which is a third-party seed producer based in Remington, Indiana, hence the name Remington. But it's a really cool company, been around for 40 years, deep history, deep legacy, great culture, and more importantly, really great people and great customers. So really excited, but still super new guy. So still learning a lot.
Yeah. So were you able to just hit the ground running, or still on a big learning curve? Or
It's a bit of a learning curve. Previously in one of my roles with Monsanto, I worked in the licensing division. So that was with corn and soybeans. So familiar obviously with the crops and many of the customers, but this part of the value chain in seeds is a little bit new for me because it's very heavily focused on production. But I got a lot of great teammates, and everybody's really helping me get up that learning curve as quickly as possible.
Now, specifically, we're here for Turf and Forage. That's the focus of this convention.
Yep.
And so tell me, in your mind, like, what are some of the challenges in turf and forage in the seed industry right now?
Right on. Yeah, so this conference actually is, as you said, heavily focused on turf and forage. It's also conservation seeds, so it's things like cover crops, CRP seeds, BLM type seeds for recovery after forest fires and whatnot. So I've been coming to this conference off and on for the last, call it 30 years. So I've seen a lot of change in the industry. I would say there's a lot of opportunities, and as always, there's lots of challenges when you're in seed and when you're working in ag. A big one being commodity prices, and obviously another big one being the weather side of things. So those are pretty constant in our industry, in agriculture in general, but again, I think a little bit more pronounced in seeds. But on the challenge side, I would say that on the turf side of things, ironically or interestingly, when the COVID epidemic happened, or pandemic, I guess we should call it, it really gave a big boost to the turf seed industry because people weren't traveling. A lot of folks like myself were looking out at your yard and saying, wow, I could really upgrade my yard. So we saw some huge demand increase in the turf industry as a result of COVID. And again, the fact that people were more homebound. So we had a big demand, and then we had big production built up to meet that demand. And then I think what the turf industry has seen is more challenges with that demand that didn't sustain quite to the levels that we're seeing back during the pandemic. So the pandemic was horrible. We never want to live through that again, but it certainly had some lingering effects on the turf side of things. On the forage side of things, I would say that the beef market's really, really strong. So where there's a strong beef market and dairy's not doing too bad, so that does have a good demand for the forage side of things. And if we expand to the conservation seed or cover crops, I would say that there's a good outlook on that sector of the specialty seed business as well, just because of all the interest in regenerative agriculture and a lot of interest in carbon credits and greenhouse gas reduction. So there's a mixed bag, I would say, but overall, I think we're eternally optimistic group in agriculture. So I feel like there's a lot more positive than negative things on the horizon.
Purdue just recently came out with a study that said that consumers just really don't understand what regenerative ag is.
Yeah.
And they're confused by that.
Okay.
So is that something that you would like to speak toward? Like, how can we help them understand what that is? And is it just another buzzword for sustainability? Or is there a difference?
That's a great question. I haven't seen the article or the study, so I would first have to read that a bit. And I think it's a challenge that we have with everything, right? Sustainability what does sustainability mean? Regenerative ag, what does that mean? I think it's been used as a marketing tool in a lot of cases, and there hasn't necessarily been alignment as to what does regenerative ag means. Is it organic? Is it using less pesticides? Is it using better pesticides? Is it biotech, right? So I think there's an opportunity for the industry for sure to to help craft that message, but it's very difficult when there's not very many strong voices, I would say, that are clarifying, how people could think about regenerative ag. So I don't have the answers to that, but I think there's, again, being the optimist, I think things will start to coalesce around this, and leaders will emerge in the industry around these topics. So I think it's a matter of time. Right now, it's just very nebulous. Yeah, that makes sense.